Insane in the Membrane.
Hello and welcome to another edition of your favourite podcast, Insane in the Membrane, with me, Rich Wilson. And this week I'm joined by the wonderful John O'Sullivan. Here he is. Hello.
Poor you. I'm so sorry. You couldn't get anyone else, so it's just me this week. They're all the well-knowns are too busy, so you've got me.
This is where I'm at now with guests. I'm getting friends on.
I know, this is how desperate. You'll be getting pets on next.
Where do we find you this morning, John? Where are you?
I'm in Scarborough.
Are you? Do you live there?
Not at all, no. I thought I'd come away for a week and stay in my friend's Airbnb because I'm trying to get on with things and I can't get on with things. And I've spent my entire time on Grindr here. And Grindr in Scarborough is like, you know, remember the game Guess Who?
I do.
Like
yes.
Bob or Robert, and they were all just basically ugly people. That's what Grindr's like here. It's like Chernobyl. I'm struggling.
So have you just gone there are you traveling around each town trying to use up all the grinders? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes,
like,
I'm doing a book. I've got a book deal about Grindr and where the best places are in England. And I can tell you that the worst place in England for Grindr is Scarborough, followed by Dorset, followed by Bridport in Dorset, and
really?
East Grinstead, where my parents live. Yeah.
Oh, I thought Bridport would be quite interesting. It's a nice little town.
Anything coastal, they're a bit inbred.
Oh, really?
A bit Norfolk. Hello, Rich.
Hello, John. It's lovely to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We know each other, but we don't really know each other. This is why.
Well,
I was interested in getting you on.
I came to see you. Well, I didn't come to see you, actually. I have to be honest. I came to see Clinton, Baptiste, and Alex.
That's right.
And I was with Vaughan, and then we all met up for a drink afterwards and fell in love a little bit. Well, I did anyway.
We did.
There was you, your good lady to be, and now is your good lady, Kate. There was Alex, Vaughan, and a man called Sean who had a fried egg on a piece of string, but we won't talk about him. Do you remember him?
I do remember him. And you kind of went, yeah, that's what he does. And we all went,
yeah, well, try going on holiday with him.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they found it a hoot in Turkey. And so that's how we met. And I saw you do the compare job. Compare job, sorry.
Warm up job, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what you were. You were just chatting with guests, being funny, obviously, because that's what you do. So that's the first time I'd ever seen you, heard about you, but ever since then I've been quietly in love with you. I'm not just saying that. You're a very. When I was younger, right, and many years ago, there was a guy who was always a brilliant compare. I don't know if he still does it now. Is Steve K. Amos.
Yes.
And you've got that same likability as him, which I think is massively important when you do what you do. I think I prefer likability and funny than arsehole and funny.
I think it's, when I do, that's the job of the warm-up or the job of the MC is to be, you're kind of on the side of the audience rather than kind of against them. You're telling them, like, we are going to have a really good time tonight. We are going to have fun. And it's, I don't know where it comes from.
You can't train that at all.
No.
You can't. It's either it's in you or it's not. And people like Steve and you have got that thing that just enables you to be able to talk to people, take the piss a little bit, but effectively be funny. So that's a good thing. Anyway, that's my compliment over. There's not going to be any more.
I was going to say, what's this leading up to?
I know. Do you fancy a blazer? I know.
We'll save it for the end. We'll keep it for the Patreons.
We'll do it for the extra DVD clips. Yeah, is there such a thing as that?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Has it?
So
that's what happens when you get married. Oh, sorry. Oh, you mean about the DVD?
But what do you do? I don't know. I see you performing. So you're a performer.
Yeah, I'm probably the laziest performer you'll ever meet.
Right.
I'm the laziest performer with absolutely zero confidence.
Really? You look pretty confident. You sound confident.
I know, but I've been doing it on and off for 20 years,
Yeah.
and then I'll do a show, and then I'll go, oh, I've done that now. I'll just go off for 3 years and forget about it and do something else. And I haven't got that. I haven't had. I mean, due to things going on, I'm sure with the power of this podcast, we'll be going a bit serious. Maybe not.
Mm.
But due to confidence and things going on in my life, I struggle to continue something. And
Right.
so I've done a lot over a period of years, but I don't do what you do, which is get out there and sweat my arsehole off to, do,
No.
because I've got a fear of it going wrong. And so if I put on a show, it's my show, I can control the show.
Mm.
But I couldn't go and do what you did. I wouldn't be able to sit in a car with comedians for that fear they didn't. It's just fear. It's fear and rejection. Cheerful
No.
start.
But I think that's in a lot of us, especially performers. We all want to be liked and accepted. But there's so many it's this conflict going on in our own heads, isn't there? And
Yeah.
it's a funny one.
I decided from the off, right? I remember it was in 1995. I entered the Daily Telegraph Comedy Awards, and I went into a room with comedians, and I just froze in that room, but not on stage, but froze in the behind the stage bit, because I was like, they were all, but you know what it's like. The funny doesn't just stop on the stage, does it? The funny continues in the green room, and it's a real pressure. And it happened when I did a Christmas at the Comedia. I was comparing, and there was all these names that I knew. There was like Sean, and who's that crazy Canadian guy that's friends with Sean, who went a bit mental. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Craig Campbell.
Yeah, Craig. And then there was Simon Hughes, and I was just like, I felt I felt like an absolute fraud. There's all these guys that have been doing it for years who are brilliant at what they do. And I traipsed in and I just stood in the corner like an absolute freak. I was fine on stage, happy out there. I couldn't cope with what went on behind. And that fear of going on the circuit for the people be like, who's that weird guy, the noncy looking man in the corner, just sat there, just not saying a lot. And so that put me off. So doing my own stuff is just sort of, I can control that and don't have that worry. But even then, I'm not doing enough because I'm a lazy bastard.
But that's it. The more you do it, the more that kind of the imposter syndrome will go away. Like,
you reckon? I don't know how. My friend has said to me, if I'm not back doing stand-up by the 4th of April, he's going to punch me in my face.
Okay.
And the thing is, he will punch me in my face because he's my best mate down in Sussex, Austin. He will punch me in the chops if I don't get on with it. But it's that scared of doing it. And so I do everything I possibly can to avoid it. But still sit there and go, why aren't I doing it? It's weird. I'm weird. So sorry.
That's it. No, but that's it. That's all part of being a performer. We assume so much that, like you've just said, like people, like you're in a green room and your insecurity is coming because you haven't been doing it as long or as many times as the other people on the bill. But and then you're going, oh, they think this about me, they think that about me, and they're not even thinking that.
No, they don't.
They're probably
care.
thinking either they don't care or they're thinking, oh, John's a bit quiet. I wonder what's going on there. I hope he's all right. And you're going, oh, they fucking think I'm a nonce. They think I'm this, I'm that, the weird fella in the corner. And it's all in your own head. It's all assumption. It's all assumption.
Yeah, I know.
And I say that I do it myself. But
you've been doing it now for nearly 20 years. No,
20 years.
20 years.
20 years in October, yeah.
Because you started the same way that I did. We both worked in the comedy venue.
That's right.
You worked behind the bar, I think I remember, right?
Yeah,
I worked as a waiter, and that was the night like Steve Kamos used to come every month. And I heckled, and you've probably heckled in your time, even as a barman, probably at the comedy. And then, and then just that love of it. We've entered a similar path, but you've got the confidence and guts to continue it on a nightly, weekly basis. I haven't, and I think it's because I know that I've got to start again, and And maybe I should just go around for the next 20 years just doing warm-ups, and then everyone's a bit nice. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you do
Yeah.
warm-ups, when you do your first go, and everyone's a bit like, oh, bless, good on him or
Oh,
her.
is it like an open spot, open
Open
micer?
spot. Maybe I should do open spot for the next 20 years so everyone will have that half feel sorry and I can just get away with it. Be well seasoned and professional, but no, I'm just an open spot. Don't bother paying me. That's what I should do.
So do you think it's but all this insecurity just sounds like it's coming from it's coming from like you want to be a performer, but you haven't done it enough. But so you just the only way you're going to cure it is by doing it. So I think that is
Yeah.
go and do these little gigs in places like open mic places. Just go and get used to standing on stage in front of people.
But I do. The thing is, right? Like last year, I did a gig in Horsham in front of 3,000 people, and I compared the whole. So there's no hesitation. Getting out there and doing comparing and warm up is ideal. It's coming out there and doing a set, and I still, after all this time, don't know what that could be or how my angle is. Like, the ideas are there, tons. I'm good at coming up with ideas, but actually going, right, here's 20 minutes without, you know, it's like you've got to have a set before you go off and flow and make stuff up. You know, you've got to have the core before you piss off and start taking the piss and maybe forgetting your script and then just going out there and having fun. But I can do that bit. I haven't got the that, and I don't know what that is, and I've always struggled, and I've had people try and help me, and I don't care. I've paid people to try and help me come up with ideas, and the ideas are there, but I'm like, what happens if it doesn't? I know I should just do it, and this is really boring. I do apologize.
No. I've been going through a very similar thing. With I'm really busy club wise, but I'm working on a show. But no one's asked me to work on the show. No one's expecting a new show from Rich Wilson. So it's all on me. So then the insecurity start getting into my head. It's like, what's the point in me doing this? What is anyone going to come if I put this on? Is anyone going to care? And then you get to a point, you go, well, I just won't do it. Then I just won't do it. And then I'm talking myself out of it. So I'm doing the same thing. The insecurities they're all in my own head. No one is sitting there. They're maybe not waiting for a show from Rich Wilson, but they might be pleased if they see one. They go, oh, yeah, I'll go to that. It's all in my own head.
But whilst you're having that insecurities, Rich, you know that you might have 4 gigs that week that you just get off and do you know what I mean? And so you've got that. That will happen. The big gig will happen, like the ITVX thing. You know, things like that will continue. But whilst you're doing that, you know, you're still traipsing around the country doing what you do. And so, you know, and I admire that. I admire the ability to, and I know it's there, but maybe I don't know what really does actually stop me. I don't know. But who, you know, I've got to give it a go. Or else, as I said, I get a punch in my face by my friend by the 4th of April. Rich, can't you just become my like mentor or something? And then I just go around with you everywhere, and then you go, just get on stage, you freak.
Yeah, come
and
with
I just
me.
run up. Yeah. Will you just become like my comedy boyfriend?
Yeah, okay. I'll do that for you.
I know that sounds a bit creepy, but it's not supposed to be.
But this is the thing. You come across as very confident, and it's just that that stereotypical performer where because of what we do, people go, oh, you must be so brave and confident, but they don't realize that we spend a lot of time sitting on our sofas just racked full of guilt and insecurity and what's the point? And then we go out on stage and go, I'm the best one in here, I'm the funniest person in the room, and then you get back in your car and you're like, oh God, what's wrong with me? It's a weird one, isn't it?
I think confidence wise on the stage, not a problem. It's just getting from the sofa to the car to the comedy club, because even doing like open spot, I know that I could just go up there and just try, you know, just get more confidence back in just by doing it. And so I wouldn't even have to have a proper set. I could explain what I'm doing. It's just the getting there. It's always been about getting there. It's not actually doing it, because once I do something, I tend to be quite good at it. It's just the ability, and maybe that's because of things that are going on in my own head that have been for years, or maybe the desire's not there, but it sort of is, because I've got nothing else. This is it. I'm 49. My sister was like, "Oh, you really should get a job." And I was like, "But I'm 49 and I'm slightly mental. And where do I go and work? I'm certainly not going to go and work in the co-op." So I don't know what to, I don't know what to do. I've got an agent that puts me up for auditions which I never get, which I'm so used to now. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm basically traipsing around the country looking at Grindr in different seaside towns. There's only so long that can go on for. I can't do it until I'm 60. I've just got to give something a go, and I've got to persevere.
It's all on you, John. It's all on you. And that's horrible. It's such a horrible thing to have to admit when you go, it's on me. Whether this happens or not is on me. But it would be so much easier if you could just say to someone like you just, is like, could you just do that for me? You go, yeah, come on. But we can't. It's actually, at the end of the day, and this is for everyone listening as well, there's that thing you want to do. No one is going to come and knock on your door tomorrow and say, right, we're going to go and do that thing that you want to go and do. You have to go and do it, and it's hard. It's so hard.
It is, and I did years ago, but as time has gone on, I'm struggling more. You know, I could put on a show. I did shows at the Horth in Crawley, the Capitol in Horth, all of that stuff. Not easily, did it, and then the moment, I did a show at the Horth, and I was really proud of it. And you know, it was 2011, a complete unknown, and I sold about 760 tickets at the Horth in Crawley, which I never thought would happen. And a guy Facebooked me the next day, and he said it was the worst thing that he's ever seen, and how dare I hire the Horth, and I have no talent. And then I stopped for 5 years because of one man.
That one person?
One person, and it wasn't until 2016 when I thought I need to do something again, and I went to go to a comedy course in Brighton run by Dave Thompson.
I know Dave Thompson.
And he gave me back my confidence.
So
mate. You know, it's hard. Sorry.
No, it's hard. No, this is the thing, John. This is the thing. Like 700 people came, had a great time, but it's always that one person that we focus on because it taps into those insecurities where we don't feel good enough. So then that one person goes, "You're not good enough," and we go, "Yeah, you're right. You're not. He's right." We don't listen to the other 699 people that went, "Oh my God, what a great night we just had. That was amazing." We focus on that one idiot. There's obviously he's obviously struggling with stuff as well. He probably if we just took out his shit on you, because he was going through some other stuff. He's going, "Oh, that was shit." He doesn't realise that he's just pissed off because of his boyfriend or his wife or whoever or whatever is going on in his life, and yet he doesn't realise that those words really rocked you and still rock you to this day.
Yeah, they do. I think
it's not fair.
I think any criticism, I can cope with people calling me a wanker on stage. I love that. The more, like they can be as personal as they like on stage, because I'm the one with the microphone, and sometimes I can be quicker than them, sometimes I can't. It's the way it goes. You know what it's like. But when you get something, when you're just looking at funny videos on Facebook and go into your inbox and you see that, and I know it isn't a reflection on everyone, but if things are going on in your own life at the same time, and then you get delivered something like that,
it's horrible.
You know, we've all dealt with stuff like on Twitter, people coming at us, coming at you. You might say, I can wash that off, but that felt so personal. You know what I mean? It's one thing for someone to go onto like a Facebook. If I write a post on a local Horsham page, which I used to do, still love doing, winding people up, and someone comes back with something, you cope with it. But when it's directly in the inbox for me of someone being vile, but honest, I suppose. But I just found it odd. I thought it was mean, and as I said, Dave, I went and did Dave's comedy course, and it relit a little bit of a fire for a bit, for about 2 or 3 more years.
But it's this is what happens with people that do things like that. It's, you know, there's a guy on Instagram in a minute, and he's sharing other people's videos, singers and people, you know, doing nice things, and he's sharing the comments of horrible people underneath, going, "Look at this idiot! This woman, she's got a great voice, she's just singing." But they're all making comments about her weight, they're making comments about this, that, and the other, and he's highlighting all the bullshit. And you know, people use those things just to get, because they're hurting themselves. That's how I see it. A lot of people say that. It's that they've got their own bullshit going on. So that guy, he's not really annoyed about the fact he came to see your show and he did enjoy it. He's just used you as a way to just put his anger somewhere. The anger that's from something else. He's put it in your direction. He's like, fuck, I'm gonna tell this bloke he's a prick. And it's like, why? Because someone's calling you a prick. It's like it's that knock-on effect. And,
I'd understand it if I was rude to him on stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I'd sort of singled him out, because that's the other thing I used to love doing, is just ripping it out of people. It's something I still enjoy. I enjoy watching it. I enjoy seeing a comedian really give it back to a heckler. It's the most joyous. But he didn't get any of that. He was just a guy sat about eating his minstrels. He'd only paid 12 quid. I mean, that was probably a lot in 2011. But yeah, I only paid 12 quid. I'm not like Jimmy Carr charging 30. He could have something to grumble about then. But no, 12 quid. 12 quid, and I got that. Fuck him.
Maybe he was annoyed about the minstrels because they were probably steep. They were about 3 or 4 quid.
They were probably more than the ticket.
That's what he was really annoyed about. His confectionery cost more than the ticket.
It's
he was
true,
so
though.
angry.
Don't you, when you go to the cinema with Kate, or probably not so much now, but previously, I imagine you used to go to the cinema a lot as a couple. You seem that type.
A few times. Yeah.
Yeah. You like me, do you always go to the sweet shop beforehand and like get the Haribo and the stuff before you go to the cinema? Because I do.
Yeah. What I love is to get a large popcorn and then tip minstrels into it. Love doing that.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
What's the
it's
point
great.
of that? Because don't they all just go to the bottom?
Yeah, but then it's just nice when you find one. Oh, lovely. It's just a nice little. But you're talking about the insecurities of getting on stage and performing in front of people. Like you want to do it, but you can't do it. But you know, like you were just talking about Grindr. Now, Grindr and the social media, these dating apps, they're all about meeting strangers. How do you do that? Is it because you're more confident doing that than performing?
Cocaine.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I'll do that.
No. Yeah, the coke things is not true. So
No, of course not.
I suppose I think because I'm in control of that,
Right.
and so if I label what I want and I know what I want and it doesn't, then it works.
Mm.
You know, because I'm, you know, it's this. I think control is a big part of my life, and I suppose, you know, a lot of comedians, you know, ADHD like the rest of the world. But part of that is control and being naughty, and so I cope with that because I'm managed to keep a handle on it.
Yes.
So if I get someone around and nut on them and send them on their way, then this is nice, isn't it? I can't believe we're talking about me nutting on fellas from Grindr. It's so grim.
We're just talking about the fact.
You didn't get this from Paul Foot. You got nice civilized chat from Paul Foot.
But I've never really spoken about Grindr and things like that before. And you mentioned it, so I was like, oh, we'll do that then. Let's talk about that.
It's a horrible, I think I definitely, in 2008, 2009, as you know, social media really came in, like Facebook. We were all Friends United, Facebook. And I think big part of my problem, reason why I haven't gone out and done stuff, is because of social media. And I think the big problem why I haven't met a man in my life, I've never had a boyfriend, I'm 49, isn't that sad, is apps and social media. Almost, I sort of got a name for myself doing stuff online, and that's how I got my dopamine fix. You know,
Yeah.
rather than and the same with Grinder. It meant you don't have to go out and put yourself out. It's the same thing. I'm effectively not putting myself out there for
Yeah.
comedy, for an audience or a man, because that fear of all, you know, it goes through, it rolls around the comedy into my personal life. So if I can hide behind a computer or my phone, it's safe, but actually it's making it worse, you know. And it's I should go out on dates, and I should go out and do open spots.
Yeah, you
And
should.
maybe the more I go and do things that I don't usually do, maybe the happier my life might become. Because my life isn't very happy, and I have a privileged life to some extent, but I don't have a happy life. And
Oh,
I'd love
mate.
to know what being happy would be like, really.
And is that, where do you think that comes from? That, because you seem like you're always out and about. You're always doing something. You're always somewhere.
On my own.
Right.
That's it's me
Oh, John.
and my dog, basically. So it's sort of, I don't know, it's
Is it the insecurity that kind of keeps you away from, like, you, because that assumption that you think people don't like you, or,
I
you know,
I think
so you push people
I,
away?
I think because, you know, a lot in life, we've all had it. We've had a lot of loss. And I think loss and fear of people going, dying, leaving, binning me off. I just find it sometimes easier if I'm on my own, because I can't get hurt if I'm on my own. But I sort of am, because I inside I probably am. But you know,
Yeah. Where does that come from? Have you had people close to you leave? Yeah. And
leave,
that's,
die,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
See, that's, yeah, it's horrible, because you think it's, as you say, you think it's your fault, and it isn't your fault. That's the thing. Like, you know, if somebody dies, that's it's sad and it's horrible, but that's not, they didn't die because of you. That was
No,
it's just life, isn't it? And it's horrible, but you know, so that was from a young age, was it?
yeah. I lost my best friend at 21,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
and in a car crash.
Mm.
And I
So it was
suppose at
sudden as well
21,
then, yeah.
sorry,
So it was sudden as well.
yeah. And he was my childhood friend, so he was the one that we went to school, Cubs, Scouts, learnt to ride our bikes. I would have been his best man at his wedding. You know, I
Yeah.
probably would have been his godfather to his son or daughter. And we never, you know, we last saw each other on Christmas. We used to serve on the altar, because
Right.
I'm a Catholic. So we used to serve on the altar, and on Christmas Eve, I was terrible to him. I was a terrible friend, but for some reason that he stuck with me. And on Christmas Eve, we were serving on the altar, and he said, "I'll cycle you home," because he was a gent. We were only
Yeah.
20, 21, and he said, "I'll walk you home." I thought, now's a good time to tell him. I'm surprised. Sorry about that. I'm surprised he didn't know, because I was wearing leather trousers at the time. I don't know why. I don't ask. I don't know why I wore leather trousers. Anyway, not in a pervy, like, fetish way. Just wore leather trousers.
Yeah.
And we got back to my house, and I said to him, got something to tell you, because he was very straight. You know, he loved. I went to the cinema with him when I was about 13, and he used to love. I was furious, but we were watching The Living Daylights.
Oh, yeah.
And he was fingering a girl behind me, and I was really annoyed. So he was, because it's a really good James Bond film, and I could hear just noises, unpleasant. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying now. He
No.
basically
Yeah.
was very straight, and I was the opposite. And I told him, and his response was, "I'm happy if you're happy."
Right.
And that was the last time I saw him, because he died in a car crash in a sort of summertime, because we were both at college at the time. I was in Chichester doing drama, and he was doing agriculture. And that was the last time. And so, I think at the age of 21, like 25, or nearly 30 years ago now, there wasn't the assistance there. There wasn't the support there. I wasn't getting the phone call to make sure I was okay. I just had to get on with it. And I never really did. And I think that played a massive part in and of how I deal with things as an adult. And that fear, and I've got a constant fear that people are going to die or
Yeah.
go or suddenly leave. And I had it happen last year. It was someone else very close to me die very quickly. And I haven't, and I'm just like, who's next? You know, I've
Yeah,
just
of
got this,
course.
I'm waiting for that call for someone to ring me and say, they've gone. And that's how I live my life.
Mate, but that's because of
Sorry.
what happened. No. But this is really helpful for people listening, because this happened to you. It's slap bang in the middle of your formative years, you know. So
Yeah.
of course, this is cast a huge shadow across your life going forward. So absolutely makes complete sense that you're now that, you know, it's now you just think that's going to happen to everybody. So why form connections with anyone if that's what's going to happen? But
I know
have,
it's just the fear of
yeah,
someone just not being there, you know. And it's a horrible, and you know, it's not a way to live. Lots of people suffer loss and get. I know we all deal with things differently, but I just struggle with it. I really struggle with loss now more so than ever before. It can be something so minute, you know. I had to put my friend's dog down before Christmas. You know, it was all just a
right, yeah,
continue. It's just a and as a dog is important to obviously, and other people it may not be, but anything can set me off now. Even
right,
talking about it, you know. I suppose it's
yeah.
good that I am. You're much nicer than my therapist, Richie, and cheaper. So maybe we could continue this on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think we'll have it once a week. We'll meet up and we'll just chat. I maybe I'll just sack comedy off. I'll just become a counsellor.
I
Might
think
do
you'd be
that.
very good
I
because the thing about you is you care. And even if you
do care.
don't,
Yeah.
yeah, and I know you do. You've got a genuine, empathetic manner about you, which makes you very appealing.
Thank
Add
you.
that with funny. No wonder you've got a wife. You know, I'm sure you were a bastard once upon a time. I'm sure
Oh,
you're
I
a
can be.
bastard.
Oh, I've got, mate. I've got a side. I can be. I have to physically say to myself, "Are you being a selfish prick right now?" I
Yeah,
have to. I have to keep that in. I've got a side, and it comes out, and I have to be careful. But yeah. That's only
but
because I have been a bit of a shit.
yeah, but I think you know. So what? But you may be 10% shit, but
Yeah.
90%, you know, fantastic. And I think that it's you do have a manner about you.
Thank
So
you.
one day if you did think, fuck it, you probably could be a very, very good counselor therapist.
Maybe that's the way to go. Maybe I'll do that. But what's nice though, talking about that, and when Vaughan was really ill, you were there. He
Yeah.
was, and that's that. Even so, yes, you do have you have real trouble with forming connections with people because of that really, you know, horrible thing that happened to you at a young age. When it really matters, you're there, mate, and that's a beautiful
I,
thing.
I think I think it's massively important. I was brought up with mum and dad. We constantly had elderly relatives come and live with us or live in the
Mm,
house next door to us. I always went with my elderly relatives and stayed with them or the next door neighbours. I think, and I watched my mum, as fierce as she could be in many ways, this love and empathy towards people who are not only family but also like friends or to do with the church, and the importance of looking after people. And so I've been brought up not to do that, but I've watched it.
mm,
And with Vaughan, you know, I went up to work with Vaughan in 2019. I jacked everything in to go
yeah,
and live in Yorkshire, and I stayed in his house for a bit. And then we were planning to do Edinburgh, and then obviously the big COVID's happened, and
mm,
we never got we had a show booked, it was all ready to go, and then the COVID's happened. Then we just did online, and then sort of like fell into normal life, and things didn't. You know, we've got a very creative relationship, but also we're both lazy pair of bastards. And but he became really ill this year,
yes,
and that was a struggle because it's because he had a heart attack
mm,
in March, and it felt very lonely because Sorry.
You're all right, mate. No, that's all right, mate. That's all right. It's an upsetting
It
thing.
felt very lonely. And then when he got sepsis, I thought something shit was going to happen,
Mm.
and it didn't. So I went on holiday to Turkey. So the for a week, but he's constantly, you know, he's never going to be fighting fit, Vaughan.
No.
You know, it's never going to be something that's going to go away. And as much as I'd love it to. He's got what's it called? Oh, arthritis, not just arthritis. The is it
Rheumatoid,
rheumatoid
yeah.
arthritis? And polymyalgia. I always get them mixed up with poly and fibromyalgia. He's always got an underlying illness. So when to see him get hospitalised for a month from that, and then the mistake, when they didn't look after him, and so he got sepsis, it was really hard. And then I went, just as though he got better, another close friend of mine got very ill. And so
Right.
it was literally within about a month or two. And so last year it felt like and I wanted to, and I still do it for any of my friends, end up being a bit like a carer.
Yeah.
And
But I
it's
saw
hard
that.
sometimes because if you're not 100% yourself, it's very difficult. But I did it last year, and I would change the outcome on one, and I'm glad that one is still with us. But,
Yeah. But you fundamentally are a lovely man. As
sometimes.
soon as we met, yeah, but it's the same as what I've just said. People go, "Oh, Rich, you're so lovely, you're so caring." You're this, yeah, but I can be a cunt as well. I've got a side. If I'm tired, or something else is bothering me, or I said this on another episode. Like I let the bitterness get in recently. I was letting all the shit. Like, why am I not getting this? Why am I not getting that? I just come away from my agent, and I was like, what's the point? I'm too old now. There's all shit and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't caring. I was getting very selfish. It was only because I had a conversation with a few people and I went, oh yeah, I'm being a wanker. Okay, let's try and focus on what we do have. And that's when
Yeah.
things started to turn around again. But it happens. We have to focus on what we do have. You have, you even though you say, you spend a lot of time on your own and that, when we were out together that first night when we all met was so lovely. And those moments don't come along very often when you meet
No.
people and go, oh, I want this person in my life. I might not necessarily, I haven't seen you since, but we're still connected. And
Yeah.
knowing that you're around, and then when we talked about you coming on here, I was like, absolutely.
You mean when I was desperate, when I plagued you with a message, you mean?
You
Get me
jokingly
on
said
your
about it. You jokingly
get me
said
on
it, and
your
I'm like,
show.
you know what? I'd fucking love you to come on because we had such a good time that night. It was a great connection.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
agree.
the more you stop sitting there in your own bullshit, John, and getting out there and doing some fucking stuff, do your shows, get out there, stop wanking men off and get out there and do some stuff. You'll feel better about yourself, mate. That's what you
So
need to do. No, you do it, but just balance it out of it.
but you're right. But you're right though. But I won't stop wanking men off.
No, don't stop doing it, but just
No,
just
maybe cut it down to
prioritize.
like once a day.
Yeah, once a day, one fella a day. That's
Yeah,
all you need to do. Like that's the thing with when you're cutting down on stuff. You can't just quit. Like if you're drinking or you're smoking or whatever, you have to sort of like wean yourself off.
as my mother said, everything in moderation. It's true though, isn't it?
Mm.
Like you can do whatever in moderation, really.
And
But
you might get a better quality of penis as well if you cut down on how many. You might start
do you
to
know?
focus on the ones you really like rather than all of them.
Do you know what I bought at Christmas?
What?
I bought a gadget which you can connect to your phone, which prints off loads of photos. So I was going to get like a disposable camera, but like an instant one, like a Polaroid camera, basically, or I'll get a little printer, and it's really funky. And I'm doing a whole album for comedy purposes of all the Grinder dongs that I've screen saved on my phone. So I'm going to do a whole album because I'm never going to have kids, right? And so when my niece and nephew go through my stuff when I'm dead, I really like the idea of them going through the boxes and then just go, oh, look, he's got a photo album, and it's like, it's just dongs. It's dong, and I'm going to rate them from top to worst dongs of all time on Grindr. I might even get a publishing deal from that.
Do you know what? That would be a great coffee table book.
Yeah. Do you want it?
And but really commit, like put the real. Oh, this was Graham from Skegness, and we ended up like, we went and had chips, and we did this, we did that.
Yeah,
it's just a picture of his coffee.
Couldn't I?
Yeah, but give it a whole backstory.
Idea.
Give it a whole backstory.
Yeah,
like this was like you're describing like a beautiful moonlit vista of a couple holding hands on a beach, and it's just vista, and it's just this horrible, weird dong in a sort of strange colour.
Perfect. I'm sorry. Can I just apologise to any of the listeners that have just heard dongs on and off for the last hour? I do apologise for that.
No, it's
I
my
don't
fault.
really, but there'll be some people like, I'm switching off if you mention dong one more time. So
I think it's a bit of light relief. That's all. This, ironically, the irony.
Yeah, thank
you. It's just. Do you know what? It's just. There's Carly Smallman, comedian, brilliant comedian. She's got a whole song about the Dick Museum that she's got on her phone.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you send it to me? What's it called?
It's called. I think it's called the Dick Museum, and it's all the dick pics she's been sent on her. They're all on her phone.
Really?
It's a really good song. It's really funny. I'll see if it's somewhere. It might be on YouTube somewhere.
I'll look it up, obviously.
Yeah, of course. I don't know if there's any pictures though, John.
I won't bother then. But I'm surprised. Does she not do it on stage and then have it like on a screen behind her, like all the dongs appearing?
Oh, she might have done. That rings
she's
a bell.
missing a trick there if she isn't.
I haven't seen that, but it might have been in a show that she might have done. I'll message her and I'll let you know.
I would love the idea because some theatres. I did a show at the Capitol Theatre in Horsham. It was like a chat show,
right? And
it was called. They were a bit backwards in Horsham, and so
they seem all right. I've been there a few times at the Capitol.
You've done the one with Kevin Precious.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did the Capitol in the theatre. That was the last show I did in 2016. And it was a chat show called "Come on My Sofa," and the theatre, it went into the booklets. The whole place sold out. And on the night of the show, my friend was walking and took a photo, and they changed the name on the show. "Come Sit on My Sofa," because they realised because they were so embarrassed because the guy that had greenlit the whole thing didn't think like a pervert. So he went, "Yes, so that's okay. Come on my sofa." And apparently the whole theatre management were furious because it was in the booklets, it was in the papers, it was everywhere. So that's why they were being spiteful at the end and changed it to "Come Sit on My Sofa."
Yeah, I can imagine that having been to the Capitol in Horsham, lovely people, but I don't imagine that would have gone down very well.
No. It was a really Tory town. I knew how to wind the council up, and it was the theatres connected to the council, and they've always had a hatred for me because I used to have a shop there, and so I used to have a newsagent, and hence newsagent provocateur.
Oh, that's where that comes from.
Yeah. So I had a newsagent, and in 2009 I got nearly arrested. I put a sign outside the shop, like newspaper billboards.
Yeah.
And I did my own. I did my own to wind people up, and it went, "Crawley girl gives birth to Pitbull."
Right.
And people were absolutely furious at Horsham and the council. So I used to love winding them up. And one time I paid a parking fine in pound coins and jelly. I don't know why. Attention-seeking fool. But yeah, Horsham is it's my hometown effectively, but I spent years trying to wind them up. The powers that be, not the normal people.
No. The people, the people in charge that tell us what we should and shouldn't be watching.
Yeah,
and they're all straight laced. What really annoys me about these people is that they are up in arms about these things, Oh, that's a disgrace. That's an aberration. That should be wiped off the face of the earth. Yeah, they're the ones that should have their hard drives checked.
I know they're the ones taking it up the shitter. And they're they are
behind their wives' backs. That's the
yeah,
thing. Yeah, they're all.
yeah.
It's like if you don't be telling us what we should and shouldn't, what's good taste and what isn't good taste, when you're sneaking about doing dressed as a fucking baby, getting someone to
Yeah.
wipe your ass for 50 quid an hour.
I had that happen once. A man came to my house, took off his biker gear, and I was like, "Where is he?" And he was laying on the floor and he had a nappy on.
No.
And he said, I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Will you help me take my nappy off?" And I went, "Absolutely not."
Oh my God.
I mean, there's
And
no
then
funny ending to it. It was just,
and then he had to did he get dressed again?
yes, and got back on his 125 moped or whatever it was he got on. It was a really,
Mate.
I never understand. I'm a bit old fashioned. As much as I might talk dirty about stuff and be a bit boring and repetitive about it, I like just being in bed and just doing nice things with nice people. I don't want to be strung up by my balls on the ceiling, having my bum whacked by a ping pong bat whilst having my face slapped with a wet fish by some horny little Puerto Rican man. I don't. Actually, I probably would, but I don't. The pain and the weirdness, and I think society now is into more pain and more weirdness. It's down to porn, basically. Men and women are watching stuff and thinking it's perfectly normal to be hung up by your balls now, Gordon. And so they just do this. I don't know what I'm saying, Richie.
No. I know exactly what you're saying. We're talking what. Yes, there's so much. When I was growing up and knowing, I've said this before, but when I was growing up and I'm into certain things, I thought I was really weird because nobody talked about it because it wasn't the internet. So you just thought everybody was having just missionary sex, and you knew people were gay and you knew people were straight, and you knew that there were trans people, and you knew there were, and it was all, but there wasn't this whole kind of buffet of weird and wonderful things of people getting dressed as animals, and
No.
like if you saw a gimp, it would be in a video in a comedy show or a film, and it would be mocked. You'd be like, and you'd be like, "Oh, look at that weirdo," and he's like, "That's not what I'm into, by the way." I was just saying. It was just but now I'm older, and now the internet exists. What I like is very, very vanilla. It's very boring.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here. I like good old fashioned two people making love. What a freak I am for
what a weirdo.
Yeah, you're a weirdo too then.
I know, I'm so weird.
I think porn is one of the worst things that could have ever happened to this world.
It's not
as much as I'm saying that as a man that used to get high and love watching it till 4 a.m.
Yes.
But now I don't. I think it's giving a generation of youngsters thinking that's how it's done, and it's about respect and about lack of respect, lack of love. It's the whole spitting and slapping and stuff. And I get that when you're a couple, you try stuff, but these lads and girls, they start off like that. They think that's how it's done. Game of Thrones style sex. I'm just jealous they're getting it, really.
I think there is too much access to everything, and the sense of discovery is now gone. Because it's just there. If you like something, be it sexual or music or whatever, it's just there. I used to, I used to have a list that I used to carry in my wallet of the records that I wanted to find that you couldn't get anywhere because you didn't have the internet. So it was like this, I remember that song. Oh, I need to find that album, and I'd write it down. And then when it was in a record shop and I'd find it and I'd be like, oh my God, I found it. And that joy that I got, you just don't have that now. Now you're like, oh, I remember that album. I'll have a look, see if I can get it. And then within 20 minutes, you've got a copy. I
remember the joy of ringing up a radio station and hearing your name mentioned in a song that you wanted to play. Yeah. And it's that same feeling of they're just not going to experience anything like that. We've experienced so much wonderful things. I think
Yeah.
we've had the best of it, Rich. I think we've had the last up until the last 10 years. Previous to that, like 90s to 2012, I'd say, we experienced some wonderful, and the 80s, wonderful things that this generation will never experience and never
No.
appreciate anything.
No, and you sound like such an old prick when you talk like this. But you go, no, no, no.
Yeah,
Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm just. I feel sorry that you won't experience these things.
yeah,
That sense of, oh wow, this is incredible. That moment of, yeah,
yeah.
it's all there in front of you, and it's a shame. And I don't know. I like the internet, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do this. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's having too much choice just doesn't do anyone any
Do you know what
favors.
I'd love to see happen? I'd love to see the internet disappear for a while and watch a load of 13 to 30-year-olds lose their shit. I would, because if we lost the internet now, we would be like, oh, fuck, we have to go into shops, or we couldn't do
Yeah,
stuff like this. But we could get back to normal. We could get back to using the house phone and going, meet me down the pub, yeah, see you at 8.
yeah,
Life would go on for us, but for the younger generation, I would love to see them. I mean, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. I'm I am desperate for something like that to happen, because that generation are so fucked, and in 20
yeah,
years' time, that fucked generation are going to be running our country and telling us what to do. That's if I'd rather be dead,
mate.
So it's but yeah, we've experienced some lovely stuff, and I reckon we could experience that again if it all went tits up. We would cope.
Yeah, I think there's an assumption that having spoken to, because I've got sons that are 26 and 31, and speaking to them, and they're coming away from social media. A lot of them,
Yeah,
they're just going, oh, I just don't need it, Dad. I'm, like my
but
youngest has just got himself a car, and
is that off all social media or certain ones that they've gone? Oh, we don't do that. Are they?
oh, they're just getting bored with it. They're just going, oh, I just want to go and do something else, or they're all gaming, or
Yeah,
they're doing other things. And I think what'll happen is, like all of these things, they're cyclical, aren't they? So at the minute, it feels like this is the end. The internet's everything. This is blah blah blah. But the next generation will find their thing, and they'll go, actually, no, we're going back out. At the moment, people aren't drinking or as much, or they're doing whatever, but then it will come around again where people are going out and getting fucked, and
yeah.
because that's what human beings do. So I think we have to focus on that and go, look, it feels a bit tricky now, but we have to but the next generation are more clued up than we give them credit sometimes, and
Do
I think
your
they are.
sons? Do your sons go on? Do they go out dating, or do they go out old-fashioned way? Go out getting pissed to meet a girl? Or are they all on Tinder and?
I don't think either of them went on dating apps. I don't.
Really?
My eldest has been married for a couple of years. He's always been in.
Yeah, he's
He met.
definitely not on dating apps.
But I don't
Now
think
he's
my
married.
youngest. Yeah. We're back to the counsellors of Horsham again.
Yeah,
I don't think they did. I don't think they did. I think they met. I think they've met their partners out in the wild, out at gigs and things like that. So
really.
yeah. I think. Do you know what? It's funny. I did a gig the other day. I was in Bristol, and I was stood at the back, and there was a mixed bunch, but they were mainly quite young, kind of students, late teens, early 20s. And I was at the back, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to say to these people? Are they going to think I'm just an old prick? Am I this? Am I that? And then I watched one of the other acts, and he did this whole bit about the fact that he carries around photos of Adolf Hitler with him, and it sounds shit, but it was really funny. And the place was falling apart. They were laughing their heads off so much, and it cracked for me. I went, oh, all right, yeah, we're going to be fine. And I went on, and I went, you know what, you young people, you get a bad rep for being like too right on, and you're too busy shouting at Gen X and blaming us for all this shit. And I've just watched you lot laughing at pictures of Adolf Hitler, and I'm
But
like, oh, we're
but
going to be fine.
when they were laughing at that was proper belly laugh, right?
Yeah.
Proper, and I think that, but you'll know this more than I ever will.
No.
That
After this,
the
you will start getting back out there,
Yeah,
and you are going to start gigging
yeah.
because you're
I
going to get a
will.
punch in the face from your mate, and I'm going to kick you in the arse.
Well, you're gonna what in the
I'll
arse?
kick you in the arse the same
I couldn't hear the
time.
kick. I
Oh, right.
didn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
I went a bit weird
but
then.
yeah, but with comedy as it is with it changing, when a guy
Mm.
does that about Hitler and there's proper belly laughs, is there more? Would you say that comedians have tamed down everything, or do you think is there loads of people like the guy doing Hitler stuff? Is that because there's still I think there's a real desire. When I did a Facebook show live and it was foul, there's a real desire for the naughty because the naughty has become so, people are so scared of saying stuff. But when someone like does the Adolf Hitler thing, people fall about. There is a market still
Mm.
for that style of humor, right? Please tell me there is.
Yeah, there is. Absolutely, there is. That's what I'm saying to you. There's an assumption that, you can't say anything anymore and you can't do this and you can't do that. But you can, in context, and you can, it all depends on the intent. Depends on the intent. Like he wasn't making fun of the people that, that what Hitler had done. He was making fun
Yeah,
of Hitler.
Hitler. Yeah.
Yeah, and and it was like in the context of it and the intent, and it was like, oh yeah, that's really funny. And I think that's it. It's there is a market for it. People aren't they are standing up for people, and they are raising their voices against what's going on, in Gaza, and trans issues and gay rights and things like that. But at the same time, they're having a moment where they're going, oh, I just want to laugh at a picture of Adolf Hitler for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
There's that release.
Yeah, I think
It's a good balance.
yeah. Do you is there a real sort of trend in comedy at the moment when you're out there? Do you notice that there's a certain style that is happening, or certain, is it very topic led? Is there just nonsense? Is it a mixture of, is there just people there just to make people laugh, or people who want to have a voice and say something with a bit of funny?
I think there seems to be a lot of people talking about, like I've said this before, there's just, they give a long list of, they go, oh, hello, my name's blah, 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 and I have ADHD, I have
Yeah,
this, or I'm autistic, I'm blah, before they've even said anything else. And you kind
yeah.
of go, I've said it before, and you kind of go, all right, just let's not focus on that bit, but write
Yeah.
material about it. And then people go, oh, they're autistic. Oh, they're this, they're that. Um, there's a bit of a
It
trend for
just
just listing things, and you're like,
isn't enough, is it? Because
no,
like if you're a certain style of comedian, I don't know, Francesca Martinez or Rosie Jones,
yeah,
she doesn't need to say it. I mean, she does, and they do, but it's, when you haven't got something obvious, why bother? Because
yeah,
it's not, because it's fucking boring. Come up with something a bit better than that. Not, I don't mean Rosie and Francesca and others,
no,
like, that's it. I'm talking about the people that aren't visibly disabled. I've got ADHD, but I wouldn't want to go up there and start off. It's just like people like, yeah, and the rest of the world's got ADHD. Who
mm,
cares?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
Rosie and Francesca are different because, not many people are like Rosie were when she started were doing that,
No, no, no,
what
of
she
course
was
not.
doing.
No, but that's
She
it.
opened the way.
Yeah, I think yeah, and that's what it's all very well talking about these things, but it shouldn't just be. And maybe it's a defense thing. Maybe it's a nerves thing where they go, look, I have this, and this. So I don't know. I don't know what it is, but
But
that's
the
the
audience
trend at
don't
the minute.
care as long as it's funny.
Yes, and
You know what I
that's
mean?
it. At the end of the day, it's that. It's
Yeah.
if it's funny, people will work. People will laugh. It doesn't matter
For people,
about
for
anything. So
people to have to hear about you or something about you that's not obvious, obviously an obvious disability about it. For have people hear about you, they have to care about you. And so,
mm,
if you're going to divulge a little bit of private information about you, the audience have to give a fuck. And
yeah,
if the audience don't give they're sat there going, well, I don't know you from Adam, and I know that there might be certain things that you might connect with certain audience members, but just go out there and fucking make people laugh. Do you know what I mean? It's sort
exactly,
of,
John.
that's it. However you do it, just make people laugh.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. It's yeah. I mean, what I've noticed as well is that if you get too political, people can tend to just sort of switch off a bit. They're like, "Oh, all right, I get it. Can you just I've just come out to forget about all that for a minute." You know, I've got this bit
But that's
about,
why
yeah,
in the 90s or 80s, when Dallas and Dynasty were on the telly, and people had like lives a bit shit, turn on BBC One and they saw these glamorous people with big shoulder pads slapping each other in big mansions, and it was a watch of like, wow, you know, we've got EastEnders, it's grim, but then it was a bit of light relief. It was to take you away, and I see that about the comedy. It's just like, I would be bored shitless if I saw a comedian talk about politics, you know, or social things that are going on at the time. I don't see that as clownery. I don't see you as a
no,
clown. I see you as a wordsmith, and a clever wordsmith, and that's very good. But for me, comedy has to be about the visual, the funny bones, the funny voices, the way you say it, the timings. That to me is someone that will get me engrossed. You know, someone talking about stuff, I can get that if I go to the pub and listen
yeah.
to the pub bore. You know, it's you know, I don't want that. I want to go and be entertained and go, I've just watched something magical
Yeah,
and fun, and I've laughed, because that's the whole idea of going to a comedy club, right? Is to laugh, not
absolutely.
to come away. And you're allowed to make a point with it, but you know, there's the comedians like, what's his name? That really well-known one that has his own BBC Two show. Worked with Richard Herring. Can't remember his name.
Stuart
His
Lee.
partner. Yeah, like he can strike the happy balance of that. You know, he can.
Mm,
That's his thing. But would I go and pay to see Stuart Lee? No. Could I watch him on telly for 5 minutes? Yes.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm
Do you know,
saying, really.
no. I remember being in Edinburgh a few years ago with Eddie Brimson, and Eddie's got this real. He's like, he'll go. He likes to go and find weird and wonderful like acts, not just straight stand up. He's really into quite sort of surreal and
Yeah.
slapstick stuff. And he came back. And he said, "I've just seen this fella. We have to go and see him tomorrow." And I'm like, "Who was it?" And I can't remember his name. Bob something. And he's from Yorkshire, I think. And he would just be on stage with a tea tray, and he's doing the tea tray song, and he's got a guy stood behind him. What's he doing? Wearing a balaclava, holding something else. And we're just watching this. And I was like, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. It's just, it didn't make any sense. And it was
No.
brilliant. And then he handed out trays, like paper trays to everybody. And then we were all doing the, you know, like the tea, was it wagon train or whatever it is, where you have to bang the tray on your head.
Yeah.
And we're all doing that.
Amazing. See,
It was brilliant.
I love that. I went to see. There's very few comics that I can go and watch an hour and a half. Jerry Sadowitz is one of them, and I'm a big Sadowitz fan, and I love the outrageous. And he had someone as an open act, and they did an audio. I don't know. It would be the cast of EastEnders, or it would be like the cast of TVAM would be talking. It would be like a recording. And then at the end of the recording, he would get out, he would have a pretend machine gun, and the machine gun noise would come on, and he'd be killing all the cast of TVAM or it doesn't make sense what I'm saying at all, does it? He just used an audio, had pretend machine guns, and pretended to shoot at them. That was it. I know it doesn't do it any justice, me explaining it to you now, but I loved it. It was visually great, and it was terrible. But, you know,
But
anyway,
it's the intent, isn't it? Again, it's the intent. I like to watch people that say stuff and I go, whoa, that's a bit near the mark. But you know they're joking. Like they're joking. They're not.
But you do it, don't you? Because you go, because you'll say something rude or terrible, and they go, I'm only. You do, don't you? Almost like the only. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't mean it.
Yeah. Because you're likable, you can get away with saying more terrible things than you probably care to imagine, because your likability means that the audience will allow you off from that.
Yeah, there is a bit of that. I've been talking about my new baby and saying about. I said this before, how all I do is put fluid in him and then fluid just comes flying out. That's all he is at the minute. It's just a tube. If you had a car like that, you'd scrap it. Like, maybe I'll do that. He's not been around long. I'll sell him for parts. Like,
do it.
But I did it. I did it in Bristol, and they went, oh, and I went, all right, yeah, that was a bit, and I go, oh, that was a bit, all right, yeah, maybe that was a bit dark. It was like the first thing I
No,
said.
yeah, maybe not the first thing. Maybe sort of way into, but yeah, fuck it. I think you've got the ability to do that. I think when you're likable and you say terrible things, people let you get away with it more than when you're, Frankie Boyle. Half of Frankie Boyle's problem, not that he would care what I have to say, was if he was a little bit more likable, he wouldn't have got into nearly as much shit as he did. But it's because he doesn't come
Yeah.
across. He doesn't
He's
come
actually a really
across.
nice bloke.
I know he is as
Yeah.
off the stage, but on stage he
His
doesn't have a
persona, yeah.
He knows that he doesn't have a likable persona. But
Yes.
there's for real sort of comedy for me, like Les Dawson and all those ones, big stars that I used to love. They were all likable. Dame Edna, all likable, that could say really quite naughty things, but they got away with it. I love
Yeah,
that.
you're right. Yeah. 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 Do you remember Hinge and Bracket?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I
didn't.
was talking-
Did you? One of them died, I think, last year. But
I was
they
never
were
a big
very
fan.
old-fashioned.
Yeah, I was
What?
never a fan. I just remember them being on a lot, like Pebble Mill and things like
Oh
that.
God, that's real. Do you remember? Pebble Mill was great. We used to be off school. I used to get my £1 from Mum. I used to get my pot noodle, my jam donut, and sit and watch Pebble Mill with Judy Spires.
See?
Yeah,
Wonderful. I used to watch the Sullivans as
was.
well. Yeah, eating my
Oh, did you like the Sullivans?
I used to love the Sullivans.
I
Yeah,
used to
that was
hate that one.
Did you? I did for a
Yeah.
bit, and then one day something clicked, and then I couldn't wait to get home for lunch and then watch the
Yeah.
Sullivans while I'm eating a boiled egg.
I used to hate the opening credits because it wasn't in colour, and then one of them they would all gather together, and one would grab a hat and run off, and the sister would run off after them. It was in the opening
Oh
credits.
yeah.
I used to hate that, and I used to hate Flying Doctors, and I used to hate Sesame Street, but I used to love obviously the Neighbours. Neighbours was my thing.
Hated Neighbours. I wasn't a big fan of Sesame Street, really, to be honest. I didn't care about. I'm not a big fan of the Muppets either. I know this is terrible.
I don't like puppets or cartoons generally. I had my first. Neighbours gave me my first TV hard-on
Really?
when Jason and Kylie got married. Remember that famous thing? They kissed each other in a way that I'd never seen two people kiss each other on telly. It went open mouthed because you're so used to seeing people are not kissing like that, like dead on their lips. They opened their mouths, and I remember I literally got. That was my first TV hard-on. My first visual hard-on was Linda Lusardi. How times have changed.
Really?
Yeah, news of the world.
But
But
mine was Wonder Woman. Linda Carter.
Bella Emberg as Blunder Woman, wasn't it really?
It was Bella Emberg.
Yeah, don't lie now. Was
Sorry.
it really Linda Carter?
Linda Carter, yeah. There we are.
What about now?
Well, I don't know. I don't know where it's gone now. I don't even look at porn anymore. I get bored.
You can't
That's
be
what
bored.
happens when you get old. It's not even.
Are you saying that because your wife might be listening to this one?
No, we actually talked about this last night. Because someone we know has got into trouble with it, and we were both saying, like, I don't care what you look at. It's up to you. Don't look at what you want. Like, as long as it's legal, do what you like.
Yeah, I mean that's a good start, really. As long as it's legal, does it matter? It
No,
depends.
look at
You two seem to have quite a confidently nice thing going on. So I think when you've got a connection that you're both on the same level, I think, and the trust and all that is there, it works. It's when there isn't that's when the problems arise. But you two seem to have it. I don't know you obviously at all really, but from what I see and spoke to her, you two seem to sort of have there's a certain thing there that I think you probably have an understanding of each other.
Yeah. Well, yeah, to be honest, though, considering what we've done in the last, couple of years since we've been together, we've only really started to get to know each other in that time. It's like we got married after a year, and then we had a baby the year after. It's like,
what next? What will next year be?
That's what we were saying yesterday. Like, what the fuck? Like, one of us is going to die, or
I think Kate should go and do stand-up with her baby.
I think she's going to, yeah, or maybe, yeah. When she gets back out there, she's going to start like
with
have
a
it in a
pram
little,
next to her on stage.
just pushing the pram as she's doing her bit.
No, seriously, never been done. Start breastfeeding while she's telling jokes. Never been done. You could start breastfeeding while telling jokes. Never been done.
It's never been done. Ah, John, this has been lovely. Thank you so much for joining us, mate. So the next time I see you, you're going to be back out there gigging. Just a
I
little,
will.
just do. You're going to have to do the little open mic gigs and things like that, just to get some stage time and some confidence.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hassle you.
No, I will do it. I will. I just need that. I don't need support because I never needed support before, but I do. There is something that's sort of lacking, so you'll probably get the occasional DM from me. It
That's
won't be
fine.
rude either. It will, because obviously what you do is what I would like to be doing. Is I don't want to be closing a set. I mean, you can do all that with your eyes closed. I just want to hold a show together and then
Yeah.
fuck off. But I need to have something more substantial if someone doesn't turn up, and you know that happens to you all the time. Suddenly, someone that said they're coming can't, and that means you'll probably end up doing another 20 minutes. You know, the compare's got to make it better. The compare's got to can't just go, oh, you know, nothing. The show's not going to happen for another 20 minutes. Just drink. You've got to put it all together. So
Yeah.
I've just got to get that bit. But I just think getting out there first of all is the key.
Because then as well, you'll start to make connections and you'll start to meet people. And I think, and I was guilty of this as well, is spending too much time on your own. You do start to imagine stuff, and you do start to. I get in my head all the time. I'm like, oh, people think I'm a knob, or I think I'm an idiot, or this, that, and the other. And it's not until I go, I'll just message and ask about that gig, or message and ask about that thing. And 9 times out of 10, they go, oh, mate, we just thought you were busy and didn't want to do it. Yeah, come and do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's just all in your own head. Like all these things,
Yeah.
you know, thinking that people don't want to see you or don't like you or blah, blah, blah. I think this would do you the world of good, John, to get back out there, mate. And it will help you with, you know, this, it will help you with all the other stuff as well, like the fear of losing people. And, you know, you'll start to understand things a bit more, because having spoken to you today and what you were telling me, it's like, it saddens me, John, that someone as wonderful as you is hiding away. You know, I don't want that, John. I want you to come out into the world and put the dicks to one side for 10 minutes and come and do something with me for a bit. I'd like that. Come and join us.
No, I know. I should do my first one again with your compound, but you don't ever do like open spots, do you? You don't, at your gigs. You're beyond that now. You know what I mean?
No. We've got our own. We've got a couple of our own. That's what we're going to do. We've got a couple of our own gigs. You're going to come and do that. That's what you're going to do. All right. We've got a lovely gig. We've got a lovely gig near East Grinstead, and you're going to come and do that.
Where's that?
Lovely bunch. It's at the Hop Yard in Forest Row.
My parents live in East Grinstead. That's where I was born.
Well, there you are then. What a wonderful way to restart your career.
I know. Shall I invite them along and horrify them? I mean, they would have a heart attack. They once saw my show at Crawley, and one of the shows involved my testicles coming out, and it was on video, and they were on the whole theatre. My balls looked like space hoppers, and it suddenly occurred to me, Mum was in the audience, and I was like, bet you haven't seen those. You know, she hasn't seen those since I was a toddler in a bath, and then all of a sudden now, as a 35-year-old adult, they were up there on the screen like massive kahunas. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying. I vowed never to have her again at a show. Listen, I will do that.
Yes.
I will. That, because you could save me from getting punched in my face by my best friend.
There you go.
But I'd like to say thank you for being lovely. And if anyone has stuck through this whole hour, then you deserve an award. But I'm sorry it was all about dongs all most of the way through. But I really appreciate you being so lovely, and you know, you didn't ask me to come on. I asked you to come on because I just knew that I wanted to chat to you, and I appreciate your kindness. It means a lot, because I wouldn't do this otherwise. I wouldn't do this with someone I didn't know. I hate doing them, but not with you.
Mate.
So
This has been lovely, and you're gonna make me cry in a minute.
No,
Let's get
you
this.
are. You've got a
I'm
way
gonna.
about you, which is
Thanks,
kind.
mate. I'm gonna send you my number. We're gonna exchange numbers. I'm gonna get you to do this gig, and then your mate won't punch you in the mouth. That's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
So, where can
Can
we
we
find you on the? Go on, go on.
can we get off with each other out the back? See what it's like.
I'll give you a snog. All right.
Will you?
Yeah,
I've got
I'll
a little bit
snog
of
you.
gingivitis. I hope you don't mind. I haven't. I haven't. If anyone's listening, I haven't got gingivitis. Halitosis.
Oh God, that's awful. Well,
Who has
congratulations.
halitosis these days? Do you know anyone with halitosis? No
Um,
one under the
I,
age of 60 has halitosis anymore.
do you want to bring it back? This sounds
Bring back halitosis.
what a song.
I
John,
know.
where can we find you on the socials, mate?
You can find me in most disabled toilets in Morrison's around the country. But
Okay.
if not, newsagent. I don't know. I'm not on Twitter at the moment, and I'm on Facebook, but on Instagram, newsagent. Just look up newsagent provocateur. I'm around. I'm lurking like a pervert in a park.
Lingerie. Yeah, in a park.
Just lurking around. Not really too active. Occasionally, I come out and do a deed, and then I go back behind the bush. Then I go back behind the bushes.
It's the fact that you call them deeds. Oh God.
Yeah.
Why does that sound worse?
I
Oh,
don't know.
John, it's been lovely talking to you. This has been Insane in the Membrane. I've been Rich Wilson. This has been Dame John O'Sullivan. What a wonderful chat. And we'll see you next time.